Hi everybody, welcome back to a tactics video. This time looking at which is better, the Rogal Dorn battle tank and also tank commander, or the Leman Russ battle tank and also tank commander as well. So let's be more of an exploratory video. I'm doing this because thinking about where Guard are at the moment, we're certainly not the strongest faction in the game anymore. We certainly were about a year ago, but according to the latest data from statcheck.com, and this, remember, is for tournament games only with 5 players minimum, 5 games minimum, and 30 players minimum. So this is like proper tournaments, is that Guard have basically fallen to the bottom. And this is despite the fact, oh, what happened there? This is despite the fact that you can see that over here you've got 3 winners, so 3 people who came first in a tournament, and that includes the hero that is Wesley, I believe his name is St. Ines or something, in the US, winning with Recon Detachment. So an amazing performance by him. Even with his great performance, you can see Guard has slipped to the bottom of the table. So this is certainly where things are. And remember, always with this is that this will be many factors. It could be a lot of good players have left the faction, gone to other more powerful factions, or simply that other factions have got better rules, obviously. So this is where Guard is. I'm personally not doing too bad, although I don't play big tournaments anymore, mostly RTs. But that's what I'm starting to think about, like, what are the best units we can get? Because if you play competitively or remotely competitively, even the casual scene, unfortunately the way 40k is going, or has gone, is that unless you play what are probably the best units in the codex, you're going to struggle. Like, you can always, of course, do well if you're a talented player, but that's kind of where I'm going with this, is that, you know, you want to be using the best units. So let's have a look. And for this, I'm going to use a spreadsheet, which I love. And a lot of data here, a lot to look at here, but to just sort of quickly orientate ourselves with what I've got here is that the easy thing about the comparison between the Leman Russ battle tank at family and the Rogal Dorn is that the majority of the core abilities are the same. Yeah, so 10-inch move, toughness 11 or 12, 2+ save, or 13 or 18 wounds, leadership of 7, OC of 3 or 5. So the point I'm kind of making is that they're very comparable. Yeah, they both move as fast, they both have the same save, both leadership 7. Their OC is 3 or 5, so it feels like a fair upgrade in the sense you've got a Leman Russ for 3 OC, Rogal Dorn for 5 OC. And what I've then done is put all the points, and this is something I've used for many years, is the points per wound calculations. So simply points divided by wounds equals 11 points per wound for the Vanquisher through to 14 points per wound for Leman Russ Rogal Dorn battle tank. Now we'll get to some of the other stuff, and let me just hide some of this, don't confuse it too much information in front of you. But then, of course, and if you're newer to Astra Militarum, this may help, but for those veterans out there, you'll basically kind of know the Vanquisher essentially is just a cheap tank. The Punisher has got dev wounds, Executioner Plasma gets +1 to hit if the target's below half strength, which is terrible. The Eradicator has got -1 to damage, Exterminator's got +1 AP, Leman Russ battle tank gets rerolls to hit, or full rerolls if the target controls an objective. Leman Russ Demolisher Cannon can shoot in combat, and the Rogal Dorn battle tank can essentially make 1 attack damage 0. So just speaking about the two units here again, is that obviously the key differential here is the toughness 11 to 12 and the wounds 13 to 18. So 13 to 18 is simple to think about, it's just more wounds, great, but the toughness 12 is one to talk about. So this, my best example will always be Bright Lancers, used by the Dark Elder, and of course las cannons used by all Imperium armies. Is a strength 12 weapon. So in this example, obviously they're wounding on a 3, suddenly you're wounding on a 4. Yeah, so that extra bit of toughness is material in the sense that actually means that a lot of like actual anti-tank weapons are less effective, because wounding on a 3 is pretty good odds, wounding on a 4 is a coin flip, and that can often be enough to basically make damage output ineffective. Is that little bit of extra statistical improvement. Now, just interesting, I was thinking about this weird one, is that with 13 wounds versus 18, obviously 18 is more, but I've certainly found a lot of games I play is so many times you'll see a Leman Russ battle tank left on 1 wound because it's an odd number, just for some weird reason, your opponent does 6, 2 damage attacks, they go through, and then you're left on 1 wound, versus a Rogal Dorn battle tank, obviously it's more wounds, but it's not going to happen loads, but I've noticed that quite a bit actually, which is a bit interesting. Now, I think then compare, because you can obviously see, simple mathematics, is the Rogal Dorn battle tank at 14 points per wound actually is quite competitive. Well, it's very competitive compared to its little brother or sister Leman Russ battle tank. So I think, and I'll get to what my thinking is, but I personally think of all Leman Russ battle tank variants, the battle tank is the best of the bunch. And that's for two main reasons, is because I typically play combined arms, and that's where the reroll wants to hit, or full rerolls if they control the objective, is what makes it work, because full rerolls means you've got more chances of lethal hits into monsters or vehicles. And also, broadly speaking, I think anything which improves the accuracy of a unit, for guard at least, is very good, because we can hit on 3s, yes, with an order, but then you're hitting on basically with reroll wants to hit, hitting on a 2.5, because that extra reroll wants to hit makes you even more effective. So anything that makes guard broadly more accurate, I'm a big fan of, and that's always a simple way to kind of think about it. Is that in this example, in this rule, you're always going to have the rule, yeah. Versus, for example, the Rogal Dorn battle tank, you can only use that rule once, and that's only if you get shot. So if you don't get shot, just pretend. Or you don't get hit by anything, you'll never use that weapon, that vehicle's rule. So this for me is one of the best all-round rule. You know, Exterminator +1 AP is also very good, but that's only stuff that's shot after you've shot it. So again, this rule always works. You know, again, you can argue -1 damage. It works if you get shot. You know, +1 to hit if the target's below half is terrible. But again, for me, the Leman Russ battle tank is the best Leman Russ battle tank option at the moment, because it's fairly costed, and the real wants to hit or 4 rolls is very good. So again, simple mathematics is that when you get down to the decimal point, the Rogal Dorn battle tank, even with a 10-point increase about a month ago, at 14 points per win or 13.9, you can see makes it a very, very competitive option in amongst all its tank friends here. So this is the key point. Now, to support that, and of course you'll know this, but to sort of always conceptualize what you get is that all of them get a main weapon. Obviously, they all get a front sponson. The key difference, of course, is the Rogal Dorn battle tank's primary sponson, which is the pulverizer cannon, which is D6 blast 933. Is obviously better than, say, a las cannon, but just structurally you've got one sponsored weapon. You've then both got 2 sponsored weapons, obviously, and then where you get extra is you've got 3 stubbers or 1 stubber, 2 melters. But again, for the sake of simplicity, you've got 3 stubbers versus 1. Then you've got obviously an auto cannon as well. If you're taking the obliterator cannon, whatever the main one is, I can't remember, like the big one plus the auto cannon. The Russ battle tank has got a hunter killer, and again, with that simple analysis, you are getting more guns, obviously. And you're getting a higher toughness, and you're getting more wounds at what is essentially the same point cost per wound. Yeah, and that's always the one I like to use as point per wound. So this may be why in those tournament lists you see that win or do very well, Rogal Dorn battle tanks still pop up, because they are a very efficient unit compared to Leman Russ battle tank. And again, just stepping away from the point conversation, is still, you know, for a lot of armies and a lot of like lower mid-table players, maybe they just can't deal with this, is that this unit could just push its way around the tabletop. With a 2-up save and cover is essentially, that means even against melter guns, you're saving on a 5-up, which is still decent odds, not terrible, or not great though. And 18 wounds make this thing very, very tasty. Now, I'll quickly go over the pros and cons of each, but I think you hopefully agree, but like, well, I'll justify what I say is that, you know, again, except for the Exterminator and the battle tank, it's okay. So the Vanquisher, its main gun sucks. You've got 1 chance of doing something decent, which is cool, but it's very cheap. So, okay, that's great. So basically what that unit stands for is being cheap. It's just a cheap unit. It's dirt cheap, 145 points, and it is 11 points per wound. It's just ridiculously cheap. Now, for 5 points more, you get the chain cannon, which is awesome, but it's AP 0, which is not great, but it is a good Overwatch threat. But still, I'd say, and hopefully you agree with this one, is that this is not a great unit. So let's just quickly color code. So crap. Let's put this one as okay, because it's cheap. The Executioner Plasma Cannon one, its ability stinks. Again, if you need to get a unit below half strength to actually have your rule working, that's just terrible, because you may actually never get to use it. However, the plasma cannon is a bit of a jack of all trades. I think it's 833 when it's supercharged at D6 plus 3. That's still decent. AP plus 3 is decent in the world of the options we've got here. And 3 damage, of course, is always going to be very good. This may be good in combined arms because strength 8 into anything obviously tougher than that means you're winning on 5s. But in combined arms, if you've got that, it obviously massages it out with a lethal hit. But let's agree for the sake of this one's a bit crap. Now the Eradicator Nova Cannon, its ability is you get -1 to damage in shooting attacks if you've got the benefits of cover. Now, at 170 points, this feels okay, and I'm surprised you don't see it more, because -1 incoming damage when you've got cover would make this toughness 11, 2 plus save 13 wound unit have like fictitiously way more wounds if it's been shot at. Yeah, so I'm surprised it hasn't popped up as much as it has. And it could be a bit of a sleeper unit, but the thing is, it's a strength 7 weapon. You are getting D3 plus 6. You're getting loads of volume. You got -1, which ignores cover. But again, I'm just not sure because I've never seen this one work. I almost tried it once, but I was like, meh. Because I think the strength 7, and there's only 2 damage, does make it a bit of an issue. Exterminator, this for me is I think this is a good tank. Extra AP is always very good, and at 24-inch range, you've got 8 shots. Rapid fire 4 is amazing. So even though it's AP1, you're twin linked, so you get to roll the wound as well. Means you will tickle a lot of things. And then Leman Russ Battle Tank, I've just said there. For me, this is the best of the options. And again, your perspective is important. If you disagree with that, let me know whichever you think is the best options. But we can probably then unfortunately agree that the Leman Russ Demolisher now, which has gone from D6 plus 3 to D6 plus 1, ripping out that extra 2 guaranteed shots just makes it not feel any good anymore, because it's the most expensive at 190 points, makes it 15 points per wound, which isn't cheap. It can shoot in combat, which is cute, but like whatever. But hopefully you agree that at its point cost now, with only potentially 2 shots if you roll 1d6 plus 1, if that makes sense, it's just not good enough. And then the Leman Russ Battle Tank, let's be clear on some of the potential weaknesses. It is a big model, which means in some terrain sets it'll get stuck, and definitely UKTC, which I play, there are certain parts of the board it just simply can't drive through because it just can't physically move through the gap. Also, something to always think about is that the Rogal Dorn Battle Tank outside of 24 inches actually drops off a cliff as far as its outputs are concerned. So you can shoot the main turret weapon, and you can shoot the auto cannon, you can shoot the stubbers, but you can't shoot the belly cannon or the multi-melters on the side. And you don't get, if you're outside of 18, the stubber's only got 3 shots, that's only 9 shots, is that, yes, that's still pretty scary, but you've only got an AP1 auto cannon and an AP2 main cannon, which becomes AP1 with cover, is that unlike the Leman Russ Battle Tank to a degree, to a degree, is that if you give it plasma cannons, if you give it a las cannon, and obviously a stubber and a hunter killer missile, it's a bit more threatening in longer ranges, yeah. So this is, I think compared to Leman Russ Battle Tank in that instance is probably a bit academic, but that's a key thing to remember, is outside of 18 really, or 24 actually, as I said, outside of 24, the Rogal Dorn Battle Tank's output just slides off a cliff. So yeah, and like your opponent won't know that. They'll just look at it and go, oh my god, it's so terrifying. But once they ask the right questions, is that, yeah, again, if they're outside of 24, you've only got like this many shots going into your opponent. And again, if they've got a 2-up save, or a Terminator squad, or a Land Raider, for example, they're going to be saving on a 3-up against the very best weapon, the main cannon. Yeah, so keep that in mind. Now, on the flip side, as per the second point here, is you can see that once you get within, say, 18 inches, obviously the multi-melters take effect. This thing is brutal, because then you've got the belly cannon, you've got the main cannon, the auto cannon, you've got the multi-melters, and you've got 36 stubber shots, 18 stubber shots, because you're in rapid fire range, so the output becomes phenomenal. And obviously within 9, your multi-melters are D6 plus 2, so that's when this thing is just brutal. It's when it's up close and personal, like most things, is it just gets wildly like it can delete things with just all the output. Now, being able to make a save turn into a 0 means you do have a fictional extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the damage is, you get to blank. Yeah, because if your opponent, and choosing when to do this is, it does take a bit of practice, but you don't want to be doing it when your opponent has like a 2 damage weapon go free. You want to be doing it when they're doing a lad's cannon or a bright lance or like some wildly big weapon on a knight or something. That's when you go, I'm going to make that a damage 0. And that means you have a fictional, as I said, let's agree 4 wounds. Yeah, so you've got a fictional 4 extra wounds, 3 extra wounds, whatever you want to agree on call it is. But that does actually mean this tank lives longer than it does on paper as per 18 wounds, because you can make one of those failed saves, or one of the saves, into damage 0. So that's great. So again, give me your perspective on this, but this is how I kind of view the options, is that the Leman Russ battle tank for me is the go-to option. Here. Again, I do acknowledge it's strength 10 AP 1, so that means AP 1. You need to be supported by something else to get extra AP, but given you've got enough shots going in because you've got rerolls, it does make it more reliable. But for me personally, combined arms is my go-to. Then there's a roll, as I said, for that, and the other 2 ones here I've kind of called out. That they could be used. So, debating, and let's come to a conclusion later, but now let's talk about the tank commander options. So, again, simple comparison, it's the same stats all the way through, obviously, except for the point cost. So, the Leman Russ battle tank commander, it's 235, and its big brother is 275. So, you can see again, simple mathematics, is that the Rogal Dorn tank commander, even with a 10-point increase, from 265 to 275 at 15 points per wound, makes it, technically the same points per wound as the Leman Russ Demolisher, which means a Demolisher now is just terrible in comparison. Now, what is, and I had to double check my math here, is that what is really bad is the Leman Russ Battle Tank Commander now at 235 at 13 wounds is 18 points per wound. And my cat's just joined us. Hello, Max. He's back from inside. It's just flat out terrible. So as you all know, before the Codex came out, it used to have on the Demolisher cannon D6 plus 3 as per the other tank. Now having D6 plus 1 has just completely killed this model. Yeah, so I've thought about using this because still a 40-point reduction in a tank commander is still a 40-point reduction. So if you're scrabbling with your list to try and make units all work, it is a 40-point reduction, and the only way I can think about maybe ever making it work is in combined arms again to give it the executioner plasma cannon. Because as said, if you've got combined arms, you get lethal hits into monsters and vehicles, and then 3/3 AP 3 damage is very good. That may be the chance to use it, but at 18 points per wound, it's just too expensive. And I've got one more thing to show you in a second, which I think will make this even more obvious how bad this unit now is from a points point of view. So, that all being said, as you know, you can shoot on death on a 2+, so 2+ is good. It's not guaranteed. We've all rolled a 1 before, back when this unit was good, but it does mean you can shoot on death, and that will be a key positive in a moment. Tank Commander, by comparison for Rogal Dorn, has got one reroll to hit, to wound, and to damage. So that means you'll be rerolling your damages on your multi-melters. So if for whatever reason you don't take multi-melters or a melter on the front, you are just basically ignoring part of your rule because nothing else in its data sheet has got variable damage. So if you're new to Astra Militarum, you think of what sponsons to take multi-melters all the time, because as I said, if you don't take that and don't have melters, you just ignore the third part of this rule, but that's fine. So all the weapons are the same. As I said, so what's the negatives of the tank commander? It's very expensive. Now, shoot on death on a 2+ is great, but it's not guaranteed. Again, like back when this unit was good, I rolled plenty of 1s. You roll once, you shoot on death on a 2+ and you roll a 1. You can't reroll it, and you're like, well, that means this rule is just gone. Okay, fine. Now, the unit is still paying for the demolition cannon tax, if you want to call it that, because again, when it was D6 plus 3, at 14.3 D6, this thing was terrifying because you could just delete, you had the potential to delete a lot of things in the game. Now, given it's only D6 plus 1, that no longer is a threat, and we're still paying for that. So this really makes me very strong on my perspective that this unit is significantly overcosted. If it was like, I don't know, 215, because if you look at the difference between the Rogal Dorn tank and the Tank Commander Rogal Dorn being 25 points, if we did a similar bit of mathematics, even against the demolition cannon, 215 would probably make it feel a bit better, and 215 would, okay, still be expensive, but it's getting a bit better. Now that again, if you do roll your 2 up, just like the fictitional 6 extra wounds, 3 extra wounds, you've got 1 fictitional extra turn of shooting. Yeah, so if this unit comes out turn 3 and does a bit of shooting and kills something, then gets shot, you can almost think it's just shooting like an extra turn, which it is. So that's good. Now the Rogal Dorn Tank Commander, it's basically the same as the its non-tank commander brother, is that, you know, it's a big model, can't always fit everywhere. It's got short range overall. It's brutal up close, but I think the key other benefit really is that it's just so much cheaper points per wound than the Leman Russ battle tank. So again, from a comparison point of view, it's just better. So yeah. Now let's then look at this next one I've got hidden now. I did this just to get a feeling for how well costed how costed the Baneblade is. So the Baneblade is one of the variants. I think you've got other variants at I think 415 now, so let's use that, which I think is the Doom Hammer or something like that. But even if we use the 450, which is the Baneblade, at 18.8, 19 points per wound, you again, Leman Russ Battle Tank Commander, do you want to be paying as much from a points per wound perspective as a ginormous Baneblade? And the answer is, of course, you're not. So this really, again, hammers home the fact the Leman Russ Battle Tank Commander is significantly overcosted. So I started this video, we're trying to have a little bit of a debate about what is the better option. And you know me, I hate to make clear decisions, but let's now look at I tried to make some conclusions. So we'll come to the answer eventually. We may not even answer it, but again, it's all about exploring it. Is that, as I said here, even with the recent 10-point increase, the Rogal Dorn Battle Tank is the best points per wound to its comparable brothers and sister tanks. It's very well costed. You know, as I said here, it is, 14 points per wound is really, really good. Makes it as the same as some of the Leman Russ Battle Tank options. However, the Leman Russ Battle Tank for me is still fantastic, especially in combined arms with lethal hits. Now, to support this is that, yes, the Rogal Dorn Battle Tank is is highly efficient from a points per wound perspective, but it's still 250 points. So, this is something one of my friends said, is that there's a certain quality to quantity. So again, just playing with a list, if you take 2 Rogal Dorn Battle Tanks, that's 500 points, obviously. But if you take 3 Leman Russ Battle Tanks, okay, it's going to be more, but it's only 55 points more. So yes, the Rogal Dorn Battle Tank is more efficient from a points per wound perspective, but it's still more points, obviously. So do you want to be taking 2 ginormous tanks that can't fit around the board, potentially, are only super nasty within 18 inches, or do you want to take 3 tanks which can drive around pretty much most boards, except certain aspects of GW terrain or even UKTC, has got a bit more of a sort of even threat output, and you can have 3 of them. So yeah, do you want to be taking more or less? More big scary things, or less big scary things, or more scary not as big things? So that's still the point I want to make there. But again, it's 65 extra points, but you're getting a lot for 65 extra points. You've got toughness 12, you've got an extra 5 wounds, you've got loads more Dakar, and you've got an extra fictitious 4 to 5 to 6, 1, 2, 3 wounds. Feels like a pretty decent upgrade when you pay that extra points. Now, as I said, I'm very clear in my perspective that outside of the Exterminator and Vanquisher, the Leman Russ Battle Tank options, or Leman Russ variants, just don't have a role in my perspective. As we said, Leman Russ Battle Tank Commander is terrible. Maybe, as I said, Plasma Turret in combined arms. And for only 40 points more, the Rogal Dorn Tank Commander gives you so much more. just like the normal Rogal Dorn, and then it's also got an inbuilt element of accuracy, yeah, because you can roll the wound, roll the hit, wound, or damage. So where does that put that from the question? And I hate to do this, but I think, simply speaking, the Rogal Dorn battle tank is the better option because it is more efficient from a points per win perspective. Just again, simple mathematics. I tried to think about like all the keywords are the same, which means you benefit from all the detachments that benefit squadron, you benefit from all the different stratagems. There's no other way to think about it any differently, and if there is, let me know. But again, when you're making these comparisons, you want to iron out all those areas that don't align. But the easy thing with these two units is that they're the same, like I said, same keywords, they benefit from the same stratagems, the same army rule, obviously, the same detachment rules, the same stratagems, if I haven't said that. If you have like a tech breeze engine seat, they buff both these units, so it's a very easy comparison. Yeah, so in that instance, again, from an efficiency perspective, the Rogal Dorn tank and the tank commander is the pick of the bunch at the moment. Now, this does not mean I play 2 Rogal Dorn tanks personally. I don't actually I've recently been using 3 or 4 Leman Russ battle tanks because you get more tanks. But certainly, it feels like at the moment the Rogal Dorn battle tank is the better option. So, what do you think? What's your perspective? Again, this is just me looking at it quite mathematically, as I always do, trying to bring a bit of a balanced view, but then it's also justified by that. When you look at some of the tournament-winning lists that do happen or come in the top 10, Rogal Dorn tanks do pop up in those lists. So, what's your perspective? As always, love to hear from you. If I've got anything wrong, tell me, because I do make mistakes. I don't play loads anymore, I play like once a month at an RT, just the way life's panning out. So if I'm making mistakes, let me know. Give me your perspective, love to hear from you. Always read the YouTube comments. I try to live like a little love heart like thing that YouTube lets you do as a creator. So I always value your input in these topics. So if you enjoyed this video and want to support me, you can do so with a like, comment, or by subscribing. Joining my Patreon platoon, where you get a miniature assigned to you at the end of each video for a roll call, or becoming a channel member as well. Or you can just watch all the rest of my YouTube videos. I've been a lot of tactics videos recently, but also got like lore videos, also the hobby aspect as well. So massive thanks to all my subscribers, be it the Patreon platoon members, the YouTube channel members, and just you, the broader subscribers out there. So keep your bayonet sharp, lasgun oiled. Faith in the Emperor strong. Patreon platoon, sound off. Tank Commander Glenn, Tank Commander Mitchell, Tank Commander Watchdog Van Etten, Lieutenant Burke Nielsen, Lieutenant Smith, Colour Sergeant DuPont, Sergeants Adal, Scott, the Colonel Merrill, Veterans Gibson, Hall, Lundeen, Guardsman Beard, Coquelin, Easingwood, Hills, Lyons, Malik, Nitton, Medicae Rolfe, Tontkin, Conscripts England, Evangun, Goodwin, Honorary Members Balgrim King, Syker Smith, Cyan Gaylard, Aquilon Nassine.